The PDF downloads of the African Dialogues, Volumes 1 and 2, are in the links below the description of this video. Charles. The truly awakened seem to be centered in the here and the now, the present. Their minds seem not to work in the past and future modes. In the physical body, the minds of those who have awakened, like you, Duane, are becoming more present tense orientated. You often talk about what is real now. Does being now affect memory recall and perceptions of the future? When you speak of something, you will just say, "Let's see what turns up," which means you are more centered in the present. When individuals have reached a certain stage of awareness, does this person suffer a kind of inability to recall from memory, or talk about the past or future? Duane responds, "You've been raised with your literal senses, for the most part, as an educator, and you've accepted that. That's your job, and you're very literal according to the world, because the world has been set up to be literalized, black and white, this and that, up and down, good and bad, right and wrong, etc. That's the literal world, and it's understandable. We learn to better recognize the literal world, but the literal world is not the end result of everything. Like the God idea, and how it is absolute. Well, there's no such thing as an absolute in creation, because creation is cause and effect. So there can be no absolutes here. The reality is that we've been taught past, present, and future. We've been taught that these things exist. They only exist in each individual's mind, according to what they agree to. The idea of how it is for them. The reality of life is now. It's right now. But more than that is the recognition of what it is. This is an isness. Eckhart Tolle talks about now specifically, and he refers to the spiritual stuff. He is referring to the now in creation. He is not referring to the isness, which is a more so position. That's where I've taken the word more and so and put them together to make my own word. It's the more so position. It's not up or down, left or right, higher or better or worse. It's an isness that we're all in, and it's up to you to recognize it, or you don't. You have that choice. The isness is all complete. When we experience something, we call it the past. How yesterday we went to the park, etc. And that's our reference. But that's still all here and now. When people pass on, nobody goes anywhere. Everything is here and now, and it's just where you focus and what you decide. The future, so-called, are those things you will be experiencing because of what you decide. And of course, we're in a world where things are also decided for us. So things are going to happen if we decide them or not. Life goes on is the idea, but creation goes on, and we look at that as future, but really it's all now. The best part of recognizing and just being here now, which is the first step, is that everything is available to everybody right now. The next step is, once you start to recognize and focus on the isness, that you now start to see the difference between your real awareness and your 5 bodies that you occupy and utilize in creation. You can be now in creation, but the recognition of the isness is an endless completeness. You don't have to go anywhere. It's not up or down, and you don't have to really know anything. You learn to see it and recognize it, and that's the best part. You decide how you relate it to your personal mind and emotions, the literal self in this world. In the beginning, when I started the new presentation, I didn't proclaim it as a path, or a teaching, or a doctrine, because it wasn't that. I simply stated that this was from my real side experiences. These are my experiences here, and on the real side. What I did from that isness of myself is that I put it all together and brought it forward to make sense of what's taking place now. For those people that take the time to figure it out, it does make sense. In a way, it's like a Rubik's Cube. You look at all the colours, and how it seems to not make sense. But once you figure it out, you see that it does make sense. But you have to figure it out. You have to take the time. You're dealing with the whole of life now. It's not something instantaneous, where you buy a little internet course and you're going to get all your answers. You can get answers according to what the course is about, but now this is an endlessness with your real awareness, and there becomes the really big difference. The hurdle is for a person to recognize the difference between their literal self and what else there is about them, and that unseen part that is unknown. In the movie 2001, where the monolith is shown, that monolith represents the unknown, but they tried to drill it, blow it up. They couldn't figure it out. The monolith represented the unknown, and has nothing to do with creation. It is simply a demonstration that there is something unknown that you're not seeing. Now you have the knowledge that the unknown really does exist, more so than the funny unknown about the mystery of God. God wants to stay a mystery, because that's the Callum God, who is reptilian, and he doesn't want people to see him. So he makes it so God is a mystery. It continues to be so, because he doesn't want to be seen for what he is. There's no mystery about the unknown in the real universes. It becomes self-evident, and this is the best part. It becomes more real than anything here, and that's a little bit scary at first for the personal self. The personal self feels it will be left behind, but actually it won't. It will be provided with a better understanding of itself, you might say. That's why I call this the new nowness, because that's what life is. Most people cater to tradition, things of the past, ritualism, etc., yoga, meditation, the religions, the politics, things in creation that have been created, and they become tradition, and people celebrate events every year, like the 4th of July. A lot of noise, and polluting the air with fireworks. We're celebrating our independence and our freedom, but there is no freedom here, only implied freedom, and nothing but restriction in creation. This nowness is very important, because one learns to focus and simply be now with what life is, and then takes the time to recognize. You must take the time to recognize this. It's more than just being now, or so-called present. It's learning to recognize what this isness is. Then, if you have the courage to step up, you equate it into something that makes sense, that provides something for everyone.